welcome to Rain Francis Art for Kids. My name is Rain. In this series, Christmas Party, we paint and draw everything that has to do with Christmas and the holidays. So let's have some fun. Today I'm going to show you how to draw Snoopy lying down on his house with Christmas lights. So let's begin. This is what you'll need for today's drawing lesson. You're going to need a piece of paper. I have a dollar store drawing pad here. It's 8.5 by 11 inches wide. You're going to need a pencil, an eraser. This is a dollar store paintbrush that I never use to paint with, and I use it to just brush off dust and eraser bits from my page. It comes in very handy. We're also going to need some color. We're using coloring pencils and markers today. So the coloring pencils that we'll use will be red, black, and very light blue. For the markers, I have Sharpies. This is going to be for the Christmas lights. So I've got pink, yellow, blue, and green. And I like to use a fine tip black marker. Fine tip just means it's a small tip, and I use this to outline and to color in sometimes, because Snoopy's ears and his nose and his collar are black. You can use your coloring pencil, or you can use a fine tip or regular marker. So why don't I clear the space here and we can start drawing Snoopy for this Christmas season. Let me just get all the dust off my page. Now I want you to take your time doing this, because this might not be easy for some of you out there. I'm going to go very slowly. I'm probably going to be erasing and restarting and trying different shapes too, because this is only the second time that I've drawn this. I did a practice draw this morning, but I want to make sure that it's easy for you. So let's draw Snoopy's house first. We're basically going to draw a straight line, about like that. And then we're going to draw a line that goes down like this. This is the top of his house, and one on this side too. Okay? And then a straight line right across. That's the top of his house. And I'm going to draw another line about here, right across. And I drew the line a little long here, so I'm going to erase that little bit. Now for the bottom of his house, watch. You see this line, this corner here? Go down to about the same spot and just draw a straight line. Same thing here. About this area here, draw a straight line down. Okay, why don't I move this up? I want to make sure you can see it very well. Okay. Now on the bottom, we're just going to draw what looks like snow. So we're going to draw a little curvy line up and down like this. Okay? Now that's his house. That was the easy part. So now we have to draw Snoopy. So watch what I'm doing. We are going to be erasing. Now we're going to draw his head. Snoopy is going to be, why don't I put in some guidelines for you? You don't have to do this, but if you do, we'll erase them after. Very lightly, let's put in some guidelines. Okay? Because that's the size of Snoopy right there. He's lying on top of his house there. Now his head is going to start about here. And it kind of looks a bit like a peanut. It's a little round, and then it goes up like this and down like that. Did you get that okay? Now his head is round at the bottom too, so we have to draw a round shape like that. Mine's not very round, but I think that'll be okay. Now let's draw his body. His body starts about here, and he's got kind of a fat belly, and it goes down like that. And then his feet. His legs are short. And they go up like this and down. So we didn't go quite to the end of that guideline, but you draw him whatever shape you think he should look like. So now what we're going to do is a little bit of erasing. If you drew your guidelines, I want you to erase those, and I want you to erase that line that goes through his head. Okay? And if you accidentally erase part of his head, you can just go ahead and draw it back in. All right? Get rid of that guideline. I'm going to have to draw his head back in because I erased it. Oh, I also want you to erase this line here. This line here. Little line there. I want you to erase that little line there, okay? Because that's part of his body. There we go. And go ahead and just draw back in whatever you erased. There we go. Now we do have some more detail to put in, and we will be doing just a little bit more erasing, okay? So now what we're going to do is give him a nose. On the top of his snout, he's got this black nose up there. It's a circle. Mine doesn't look like a circle. I'm going to redo that. See what I mean about erasing? Okay, let me just fix his head again. And draw this. What is a circle? There we go. That's a better circle. And his eye comes down about here. And his eye is closed, so it's just a little semicircle like that. And whenever you see Snoopy lying down, you see his ear is always kind of flopping down. So it's about here. That's his ear. Kind of flops down. And he has a collar. So under his head, we're just going to draw a line here, and we're going to color that in black after. And one of his paws kind of flops down too. So about here, watch how I do this. And we're going to have to erase a little bit. I'm drawing just a little round and bringing it up like that. And we're going to have to erase that little bitty line there that goes right through his paw, okay? And I know that might not be easy to erase because you might end up erasing his paw, but you just have to draw it right back in. Okay? I'm just going to draw that right back in because I kind of erased it. I think that looks kind of like Snoopy. And usually we can see his other foot is behind this one, so we draw just a little bit of another foot right there. Okay, so Snoopy's done for now. And we're going to put in some detail on his house, his Christmas lights. So the first thing we'll do is we'll draw some strings, okay? So watch what I do. I'm doing two kind of U shapes from either side. Try not to get anything in his ear. You'll have to go around his ear, and you kind of crisscross them like that. And we'll add some Christmas lights, and they're just kind of oval shaped lights. We'll put one here, maybe one here, one down by his ear, over here. You see what I'm doing? They're just oval shapes along those curved lines that we drew, the strings. And we'll do it here too on this one. Some oval shapes for the Christmas lights. nose a little round. I want them more oval, and I always want one at the end sticking up like that. And he has some lights down here too. So watch, I'm doing this a little different than above. I'm just doing one curve like this, one curve like this, and one curve like this. So 3 curves like that. And again, we'll do the same thing. We'll give him some Christmas lights. Just oval Christmas lights. And you can put as many or as few as you like. Okay? So that's our drawing. I hope that wasn't too hard for you. Was that okay? Did you guys do a good job on that one? You know, you could always, if you're not happy with what you do, you can always start all over, or you can erase and fix things as you go. This is just to teach you how to draw things, you know? If you're not happy with something, I really encourage you to either start all over or erase and fix things, okay? So now we're going to just start to add a little bit of color. And what I'm going to start with is Snoopy himself. Now, you can either take your black coloring pencil, or like me, you can take a fine tip marker. I'm going to outline Snoopy completely. If you're using a marker, you can outline Snoopy and then erase your pencil marks. If you're using a crayon or a coloring pencil, you probably won't be able to erase the pencil marks. So let's try to keep the outline. Draw right over what we drew in pencil. And like I said, if you're using a marker, you could erase your pencil marks after. And that's what I'm going to do. His eye too, and his nose, all of Snoopy. He has this collar. It's funny, my dogs don't sleep this way. Sometimes they sleep on their backs, but usually they have their legs, you know, flying open. It's so funny to see them when they all get comfortable. All right. Well, I actually followed my line quite a bit, so I don't really have too much erasing to do. If you use a marker, make sure your marker is dry before you do any erasing, or else it'll bleed out. And what you can do is you can take a scrap paper and you can draw something with a marker, and then you can put an eraser over it, and if it starts to bleed out, then you know it's not dry yet. All markers are different. I know my marker, it dries very, very fast, so I can go ahead and I can erase now. I'm going to be careful not to erase anything else around Snoopy though. I'm just erasing very lightly. I don't really have to erase that much though. Yeah, just a little bit. Now you can take your black coloring pencil or a black marker, and we're going to color in his nose black. He's got a big black nose. Snoopy is a beagle. That's the type of dog he is. And I'm going to color in his collar black. And his ear is black as well. Let's color in his ear. If you're using a coloring pencil to color in his nose and his ear and his collar, you can add a second layer, which means you're coloring it in 2 times. That way your black is going to be much darker. So you finish coloring in the nose once, go back in with your coloring pencil and color it in a second time. That's adding a second layer. And I usually add second layers to all of my drawings that I do with coloring pencils, because I like how it looks. I think the colors are much better if you do 2 layers. Okay, So we've got Snoopy up there. Let's add a little bit of detail right away to Snoopy. We'll put a few lines here just to show that he's got paws there. And on his feet too. We'll put 2 lines just like that. And if you have room, put one on the back foot too. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our black again and we're going to outline those strings. Not the lights themselves, just the strings. Because we really want those to show up. Try not to get any onto Snoopy's body though, because Snoopy is a white dog. His fur is white. There we go. We're doing this a little differently than we usually do. Usually we color everything in and then we outline, but I'm doing this differently. So now what we're going to do is we're going to grab our markers. Or if you don't have markers and you're using coloring pencils, you can use those. And we're going to just color in the lights. And you can do anything you want. I'm just going to do this all randomly. I'm going to start with my pink. And I'm just going to color in some pink lights here and there. And if you go outside the lines, that's okay. You know, just randomly doing a few pinks here and there. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take my yellow, do some random yellows. I think markers are good for the lights because they're brighter. Okay, same thing. I'm going to take my blue, put some blue Christmas lights. One of my dogs is snoring in the background very loudly. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing with my green. Just fill in the rest of those lights in green. And if you're using a marker, like I said, you can go outside the lines because it doesn't show. Okay. Now we have to color in his house. I've got my red for that. If you used marker, watch, except for the yellow area, you can kind of go over it like that, and it's not going to show. But let's be careful not to get any of that red into the yellow. If you used coloring pencils, you might have to be a little bit careful not to get any of the red into the lights. But that's one of the reasons why I chose to use markers, because if I color over it, it doesn't show. And be careful not to get any red into Snoopy himself, okay? And turn your pencil once in a while, and you don't have to press down too hard, okay? I want to show you a little trick. When you're coloring in a side here, you can use your finger. Watch. I'm putting my finger down, and I'm moving my finger down. It's stopping me from going further. So if I want to go here, watch. I'm putting my finger there, and I'm moving my finger up as I go, and that way I'm not going outside of my line. That takes a little practice, but that's something that you can practice on your own if you want. We're doing the whole house red, okay? So don't press down too hard, because we will put a second layer of red on, and turn your pencil once in a while. Like I said, if you used marker, you can just color right over that marker, except for the yellow, because the yellow it'll show. But if you do color over it, that's okay too. It might actually turn it into an orange color. And you could always go with your marker after and put in the second layer of marker if you want. Do you like the Charlie Brown cartoons? I watch them every year when they come on TV. Well, I don't have TV anymore, but we have a copy of the Charlie Brown Christmas that we watch every year. We watch movies and TV shows on our computer now. I guess a lot of people do that. Funny, eh? How things have changed. Okay, well, my house is done. I'm going to go ahead right away and put in a second layer. And like I mentioned before, all that means is that you're coloring it in twice. I'm turning my pencil once in a while, and I'm paying attention to detail because I don't want to get any red into Snoopy or into that yellow. Okay? So you can pay attention to what you're doing here. You're learning how to pay attention to detail. And it forces you to be patient and relax. Art should be fun. Drawing is fun. Don't forget to turn your pencil. You could always use marker for Snoopy's house too, but then you have to be careful about all the lights. So that's up to you what you want to use. I'm not pressing hard at all, by the way. And I'm turning my pencil, but you can see the big difference between one layer of red and 2 layers of red. And if you wanted to, you could always put in 3 layers if you want it to be really, really vibrant. I'm just being careful right now not to get any red into Snoopy or into that yellow light there. Turning my pencil. I love Snoopy. He's such a wise guy. He's always up to something, and he loves to dance. When I first got my hound dog, Jack, I'll put a picture up of him. This is Jack. At first, I didn't know what kind of dog he was, and Jack has really big feet, and beagles have really big feet, so I thought he was a beagle. But then there was this guy I knew when I used to go fishing, and he said, "Oh, you look like you have a hunting dog." So I looked up pictures of hunting dogs, and hunting dogs are called, some of them are called pointers. And they're called pointers because when the dog sees something, he'll point at it with his tail. He'll put his tail straight out and point at it. And a lot of these pointer dogs have spots on them. And as you can see, Jack has spots on him. So I think Jack is a mix between a beagle and a pointer hound dog. That's why I call him my hound dog. It's fun to figure out what these dogs, they're different breeds, because all of my dogs we got from animal shelters. We save all of the dogs. We don't really get them as puppies. We get them when they're older. And when I got Jack, they told me he was a Cocker Spaniel, but he's not a Cocker Spaniel. He doesn't look like one at all. I'm just going over it a third time here and there, just to make sure that I have it as a nice red that I like. There's my Rottweiler Raven. She's shaking. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do the bottom of his house. You okay, Raven? Hey, Raven. You're a good girl. Why don't you go lie down? Good girl. Raven's a very sweet dog. We adopted her about 6 months ago from a shelter, and here's a picture of Raven. She has to wear a brace on her leg because she slipped on the ice last winter and has some knee damage. So she has to wear her brace to help her walk, and she probably has to wear that for the rest of her life. But without the brace, she has pain. So with the brace, she gets to walk and have fun, be a dog. I love dogs. I'm turning my pencil, by the way. I hope you are too. Here, almost done. Well, mine's almost done. And just like up to here, I'm going to go over it a little bit here and there just to make sure I got all the spots I want to get. Okay, I think Snoopy's house is done for me. Now I'm going to take my light blue and I'm going to let me get some hair off here. Very lightly, very lightly put in a little bit of shading down here for the snow. And I'm turning my pencil as I'm coloring. And I'm only putting one layer here because I don't want it to be dark blue. Snow isn't dark blue, but sometimes when you look at snow, you can see a little bit of blue in it. That's when the snow is really wet. Okay, that's all I'm doing for the snow. And now for the last thing, I'm going to take my black fine liner marker again, and I'm going to outline the house and put a little detail. You could use your black coloring pencil for this if you like. Like I said, I'm outlining the whole house, everything that I drew in. With pencil, I'm going to outline. Oh, and we forgot to do these strings down here. We'll have to do those too. Forgot about those. Then there was this line here. And I'm going to do the bottom of the house and those Christmas strings there. Forgot those. Oops, I went outside the line a little. That's okay. And I'm going to outline the snow line here just to make it stand out. There we go. Now I'm just going to put a little bit of detail in his house. Now watch what I'm doing. I'm not putting lines right across like this, but I'm putting a few random lines everywhere. Just like that. You can make them long, short, doesn't matter. And the same thing down here. Just a few lines to give a little bit of detail to his house. Okay, what do you guys think? Does it look like Snoopy? I think it looks kind of like Snoopy. I'm pretty happy with this. I hope you are too. Don't forget to sign your work. Always sign your work. I want you to always take ownership of your beautiful work of art today. So I really hope that you enjoyed this lesson, my friends. And remember to Mom and Dad, if you post your kids' art on Instagram, don't forget to tag me. The link is in the description below or in the About section of my channel. So we'll see you next time on Christmas Party. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.